Nadia Murad is fighting for justice. From the camps where her people wait for the world's attention to the United Nations where she commanded it.
فإذا كان قطع الرؤوس وسبي النساء واغتصاب الأطفال ونزوح الملايين لم يحرككم فمتى ستحركون؟ الحياة لم تخلق لأجلكم ولأجل عوائلكم فقط، فنحن أيضا نريد الحياة ومن حقنا أن نعيشها. وشكرا لكم.
And I think what she's saying is incredibly powerful, because she's saying we don't want revenge, we don't want pity, we want an acknowledgement of what has happened to us.
Nadia has found a powerful advocate in Amal Clooney. The human rights lawyer is collecting evidence to build a case in the International Criminal Court against the Islamic State fighters who've wrought a Yazidi genocide. The young Yazidi leader, who now lives in Germany, continues to face death threats from IS. She was traded and raped by fighters for months before she escaped. They executed on one day her 6 brothers and her mother. We met with the Nobel Peace Prize nominee and her lawyer in New York to talk justice.
Why is it so important for you personally to see those men in court?
از بیشم هک مجرم الكدري بالكدري صرخ اوكي خطر بي لازم بينا عدالتي وزبينم عدالتنا بيوي عدالته هاتي تشكرن جبي تشتيرا عدالت هاي هاتي تشكرن شوي كم جي طلبة حقيق وقت كنقو عدالت بيها طبقة عندنا سربان مجرميت خطر.
I am ashamed as a supporter of the United Nations.
You spoke in your speech about being ashamed. Are we now reaching a point where the UN is no longer a guardian against violence being wrought with impunity?
There's obviously situations that have called for action by the Security Council where there has been inaction, and so you can't say that the UN is fulfilling it's the role that's supposed to be playing. But one of the more shocking elements of this case is that there's no reason why the Council should be paralysed. ISIS has actually confessed to its crimes online, and that's why when I spoke at the UN,
that there is no justice being done.
It was not my intention to speak in terms of congratulations, you know, oh, thank you for calling it genocide. The point is, what is the UN going to do about it? And I do hope that with the leadership of the UK, this can actually be pushed forward.
I mean, you speak about the UK playing a leading role in that sense, but it would be very difficult for someone like Nadia to be resettled within the UK. Should Theresa May change that?
I would hope that more could be taken in. You know, I think there's been one Yazidi family that has been given asylum so far in the UK.
That's shocking, isn't it? One family, when you consider, for example, the role that Germany has played.
The numbers we're talking about there are completely different. You know, you have had 1 million refugees accepted in Germany in the last year, and 70,000 of those have been Yazidis. In every other country, it's been literally a handful. So I'm hoping that that can improve. And actually, one of the positive signs, I think, is that Prime Minister May, when she was Home Secretary, had instituted the idea that there should be the ability for private sponsorship. That's something that my husband and I are doing in the US, for example, with the International Rescue Committees.
When you speak about your husband and yourself participating in that as individuals, but I suppose, isn't there also an expectation that a government should be able to lead by policy and make it possible in a much more effective and broader sense?
Well, I think what I'm saying is, if the government disappoints you, then at least let it. They should empower you to make a difference.
Does it sort of reveal that on a state level we're entering a more kind of transactional foreign policy, not driven by human rights? It's not driven by the need of refugees, for example, which means that it's possible for Britain to continue to sell arms to Saudi Arabia, even though they judge it as having an appalling human rights record. Donald Trump can talk about refugees not being allowed into the United States if they come from war-torn territories. Is the world's heart hardening toward refugees?
It's very difficult to hear Nadia speak of the experience that she's gone through in her community, and the fact that the world hasn't done anything about it, and come to any other conclusion, except that hearts are hardening. But we're here to try and change that, at least for the Yazidis, and we've had a really good response so far.
As a human rights lawyer, should there be a war crimes indictment against Bashar Assad?
If there is a prosecution of President Assad, I would be delighted to work on it. I think the UN has concluded that the Syrian government has committed crimes against humanity and war crimes. They're not the only ones. There are other actors who've committed the same crimes, but I think there's little doubt that that's what we're dealing with.